Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Minneapolis. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Melissa DeTora. And in our feature match area, we have, well, one of the best players ever to play the game, Paulo Vitor Damo Rosa, fresh off of a victory at the Pro Tour.
Yeah, very exciting. And to
Actually,
no one's surprise,
with
he's playing
deck.
mono red.
Yeah, he's playing it.
I would have put him on mono red.
Would you put him on it?
Yeah.
I mean, just because he won doesn't mean that he thinks it's the best deck the next week, right?
True. Like, I've definitely been known to play different decks a week after I've done really well with a deck, but for this week, I feel like mono red is still the deck to play.
Okay. And so does Paulo. He's running it right back. On the other side of the table, Christopher McMahon. Well, he probably watched Paulo win the Pro Tour and said, hey, that deck looks sweet, and he showed up with the same thing.
Yeah, maybe he saw 6 mono red decks in the top 8 of the Pro Tour, or technically 5 mono red, and was like, this deck has red cards, it has burn, it has some lands that do damage. Might as well play this deck.
Paulo, by the way, Melissa, is, well, he's kind of playing in hard mode here. He left Japan.
Oh, wow.
Yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Holy jet lag.
Yeah, so that also could explain why he's on the red deck. Like, there's a reasonable chance that he was just like, well, this is the deck I have with me. I'll just run it back.
That's hardcore, just leaving Japan, flying to Minneapolis, playing in a GP.
He's definitely hardcore when it comes to the travel. I remember having a couple of chats with Paulo before about travel and you know, me complaining about having to travel to, like, Australia or somewhere really far away where it's, you know, a 20-hour flight. And he's just like, yeah, it takes me that long just to get here, and I'm still traveling from here. You know,
being from Brazil, he has to travel probably 8 to 10 hours just to get to the United States, and he always has a connection.
Yes.
So he can't just travel direct from Brazil to wherever he's going. He just has to connect in Atlanta or something every time.
Exactly, and then make his way to Hawaii or the West Coast or the East, you know.
Yeah, he has posted on Facebook and Twitter before about how he always has 2 layovers and 24 hours of travel time and no sleep. Must be pretty rough to be a Brazil player.
Speaking of being rough here, how far behind is Paulo here? You know, he's had multiple threats killed. Karizev and Village Messenger got sniped, and Christopher still has a board state that's attacking where Paulo doesn't, although, hello, here's Hazrat.
Yeah, but doesn't matter.
No, can't
He has
block.
3 cards in hand. Yeah, this game is not looking good for Paulo at all.
Rolls off of the airplane. Chris says, welcome to Minneapolis. Bang, hit you.
Yeah, so he's taking minimum 3 here. Christopher has at least 5 damage, well, 4 damage on board with his lands. And Paulo still has cards in hand, so he has to do a lot to be able to attack or block with Hazaret. Collective Defiance.
Look at the combo that he's got here, too. He has a Soulscar Mage on the battlefield.
Yep.
And that means that Collective Defiance is going to deal damage in the form of -1/-1 counters, which actually kills Hazaret and knocks Paulo down to 4.
Yeah, that card was a huge beating here.
Chris actually has lethal just with his lands, let alone his creatures. He would need to find another land in there somewhere, but still.
Yeah, so Paulo is 100% dead in 2 turns. But, you know, sometimes you can just draw another Collective Defiance and just hit Paulo in the face for another 3 damage.
Well then, Christopher McMahon with just a beating on Paulo Vitor Damo Rosa.
So one sideboard tech that Paulo had at the Pro Tour was the Escalate card that does 1 damage to all creatures that the opponent controls. I think it's called Savage Defiance. Does that sound about right? That's a sweet one.
Yeah, that is a nice one. And you mentioned we talked about the Soulscar Mage as well.
Soulscar Mage is no Monastery Swift Spear, but it tries to be. Savage Alliance is the name of the card.
Yep.
Alliance, Defiance, you know. Still an Escalate card.
Here's Brad Nelson playing against Brett Mohns.
Wow, another mirror match. Well, I guess there's a difference. There's the energy version and the Constrictor version.
And they actually are pretty different, right?
Somewhat. Like, they both still play Snake, but the energy deck plays stuff like the Siphoner, Long Tusk Cub, probably Bristling Hydra, which is like great combination with the Snake, because every time you activate, you get 2 counters. Same with Cub. And Black-Green Constrictor, I guess, is more controlling. Also, is that a Catacomb Sifter?
Yep.
Nice. That sounds actually great against mono red.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
2 creatures for 3 mana and 1 card. Take that, Earthshaker Kenra.
And look at this, Brett Nelson getting in with a big attack here. And that's going to actually prompt Brett to just chump block the 5-powered Catacomb Sifter with his Walking Ballista.
Yeah, but if Brett untaps with this Kalidas and has removal, then he can start making zombies. So we'll see what he has. But what is Brad's follow-up here? He's doing a really good job concealing his hand. I don't know what he has. But he's in the tank for sure. I guess he's thinking, do I use removal on this Kalidas or do I add to my board? I would think that he needs to kill the Kalidas here. But he passes. So either this is just some crazy bluff or he just is holding Grasp of Darkness.
Well, we'll find out shortly, I assume. Brett's going to just play a Hissing Quagmire.
Looks like he has Fatal Push in hand, which doesn't do anything here. Harvester.
Yeah, he's got an
Doesn't
Ethers for
do
Harvester.
a whole lot here. Not a very good blocker against 5-power things. Yep, there's the grass. So now Brett can push something. Yep.
Yeah, he does. He's going to go ahead and Fatal Push. And that's a pretty big opening there for Brett because that Catacomb Sifter was huge. It somehow got 3 counters on it from the Vergis Gearhulk and was kind of smashing for a lot.
Yeah, for sure. But
it looks like Brad's going to get in again for 5 here. Let's see if he can finish this thing up. Oh, boy.
Yeah, Brett needs Never Return or just something huge.
And that's going to do it. Brad Nelson's going to take game 1 from Brett Mohns. We'll go back to our main match, which is just underway again. Or actually well underway again.
Oh, wow. All these permanents.
Well, in the meantime, Paulo's just going to keep smashing. He had a Village Messenger followed up by another Village Messenger and a Shock on his side to take out an opposing Soulscar Mage. And he even has a follow-up Earthshaker Kenra. So, of course, McMahon is the one who's under pressure now and, in fact, has to play a Kenra and just pass, leaving it up as a blocker, never where you want to be with this deck.
Yeah, and Christopher is stuck on red sources.
Oh, boy.
Like, he has plenty of lands, but with only 1 red source in play, he can only cast 1 spell a turn. And
wow.
That's going to put him really far behind.
Yeah, he just drew his 2nd copy of Hazaret off the top. Certainly not what he wants to see here.
Oh, wow.
And Paulo now gets to transform his Messenger, and this one is falling away from Christopher McMahon about as quickly as he beat Paulo in the first game. Oh, my God. Sand Strangler, too?
Oh, wow.
Killing him, Paulo.
Desert FTK is what I call this guy. I mean, that's what it is. It's literally
I know
a desert
what it
FTK.
is, but, like, we're on coverage now. Desert FTK. I like it. I like the name. You're going to have to explain that one, though, Melissa. You can't get away with running out the old Desert FTKs on everybody.
Who doesn't know Desert FTK? All right, so
a lot of hands just went up on our viewing audience.
Fair enough. So FTK stands for Flame Tongue Kavu.
Right.
Which was a very popular, very strong card during Invasion Block. It was 4 mana, 4/2, ETB, 4 damage to target creature. One of the most played cards in Standard, first pick All-Star in Draft. Like, really popular card. It's played in cubes.
It still gets played in cube, even in cubes these days.
Still a high pick in cube.
Yeah, where, cards have, especially creatures, have come such a long way since then that it really stands out how strong and how, like, completely overpowered Flametongue Kavu actually was in its day.
Yeah, but it had a drawback.
Which is?
You have to target something.
Yeah, sure. You couldn't play it by itself, yeah.
You can't play it on empty board. I mean, you can. People have made that mistake.
Oh, yeah.
So Desert FTK.
Right.
So you need to control a desert or have one in your graveyard for it to trigger. So if you control a desert, you can do 3 damage to a creature. So it's like sort of like a throwback to FTK, Flametongue Kavu. You need a desert. So therefore, Desert FTK.
I like it. All right, you may now call it Desert FTK.
Great. I did it.
By the way, it really does kind of show how busted that card was, right? When Sand Strangler, well, a very good card. I mean, this is maybe the best uncommon in the set, perhaps. For limited picks and that kind of thing. It still doesn't do 4, and it's still not even a 4-powered creature.
It doesn't need to do 4.
And it has this condition that you have to have a desert somewhere as well. It's, Flametongue Kavu was just like, nah, I'm just here. Just going to throw a fireball at you.
So how many times have you played Magic Online Cube and your opponent played Flametongue Kavu on an empty board and it died?
I think it's happened once to me.
I think it happened to me once too.
LOL.
And I was like, yeah, this player has probably only been playing for 10 years and not 15 years.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right, we're going to get a game 3 here between these two. We may see some Desert FTKs, we may not. But either way, this is not the time to go get a sandwich because these ones go very, very quickly as we've seen between these two players.
Yeah. Already on game 3, 6 minutes into the round. So they're going to have a pretty nice lunch break.
Indeed.
Looks like Paulo's thinking about his hand. Looks like he has no early plays. I see Ether Sphere Harvester, Earthshaker Kenra, but no 1-drops. And being on the draw this game, that's going to put him really far behind.
That's exactly what he's thinking about, isn't it, Melissa?
Also, is this 5 land in hand? If this is 5 land, he has to throw this back.
I think those 2 spells that you named are the only 2 spells in there.
Yeah. So he has to throw this back here, I think.
Yeah, he's got 3 mountains and 2 different deserts, and then the cards you mentioned. So
yeah, it looks like the only reason to keep the hand is because Ether Sphere Harvester is so strong in the matchup.
Wow, he did keep it.
But he drew a land, and that's the problem.
Right.
If
also,
you draw any land in this game, you're just going to get so far behind. Whoa, what happened with his Bomat Courier?
Yeah.
What happened?
Hold on.
Cards everywhere.
Right. Just one of them fell off the top. That's
yeah,
all it was.
Just put one back.
Yeah,
yep.
there you go.
We didn't see the cards. Looks like he drew a braid.
A braid's very nice here. That's the other problem that the draw from Paulo has here, right, is that the Ethersphere Harvester is super powerful, but he does need things to crew it.
Yeah,
and
he has one creature.
His Kenra is not likely to just survive. I mean, Christopher's going to have some type of removal spell for it if he wants.
Yeah, for sure. I don't expect the Earthshaker Kenra on Paulo's side to survive at all here. So does Paulo abrade? I think he abrades here. So he opted to take more damage and kill the card that could give Christopher card advantage.
Yeah. Interesting here as well. Christopher had a decision whether to leave up Shock and play the Kenra or play PNLR, and he went for the Shock play, and Paulo gets to sidestep that here and strand a mana there for Chris.
I like holding up Shock here because Pia is a super defensive card, and Christopher is on the offensive here, so he doesn't need to add Pia to the board yet. Pia is such a beating in the mirror match, though. It's 2 creatures for 3 mana. Both creatures trade with most of the cards in the deck. One has evasion, and you can pump it late game. Pia is super good here.
Yeah, he's got the 1 mountain left over for the Shock this turn because he did delay that slightly.
Looks like Paulo also drew a Shock. Nope, that's not a Shock. It's a 2-1, I think. I think it's
Falcon Wrath Gorger, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
No, Paulo's hitting his land drops as we knew he would. There's a Kenra.
So at least if you add 2 creatures to the board, you can crew this Harvester.
And he's going to make it so that PNLR cannot block. Oh, boy.
Oh, boy is right. I guess I missed that draw of the Bomat Courier.
He found some action, didn't he?
Yeah. So Bomat Courier is probably going to trade with Thopter Token. And then Christopher is going to take 5. But the 3 life that Paulo gains is pretty huge here.
Did Paulo draw himself out of this mess?
That's a stretch. He's still really land heavy.
Okay.
It all depends if Christopher has a braid.
If he can just take down that harvester.
Yeah.
Well, Chris is still going to just turn everything sideways for the time being. Oh!
Whoa!
Desert FTK!
Desert FTK!
Wow, that's a beating. Though, it does look like Paulo's going to get those 2 hits in with the harvester.
Yeah, the 6 life is pretty huge, but Christopher is like way ahead on spells. Looks like Paulo also has a Desert FTK. One thing about the Flame Tongue Kavu mirror, it wasn't about who drew more of them, it was about who drew the final one. Just the tempo you gain is huge.
Mm-hmm. Sunscorched Desert there for Paulo.
Yep.
And there it is, Sand Strangler for Paulo to clear away all possible blockers. He's going to go ahead and crew up the harvester and just get in for 5, gaining him 3 more life as well. He's out of energy now, though, and typically the harvester just gets to get those 2 lifelink hits in, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, and it has a really high toughness, like way higher than red decks can usually deal with. But if Christopher can deal with all of Paulo's creatures, then harvester won't do anything, and Paulo is super flooded this game. And Christopher is holding 3 spells, so even though Christopher is down on life, Paulo still has a lot of work to do. The pumps.
Looks like he doesn't have much else to do with his mana here. He's got, what
But
is
he
his
has all
hand?
these,
Shock?
looks like shock.
Maybe Collective Defiance, or...
If he had Collective Defiance, I highly doubt he would have pumped the Thopter here.
Maybe it was a Savage Alliance then, or... I couldn't quite see it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe we can get a better look.
Paulo's really thinking through this turn here, because Chris just keeps on attacking.
Yeah, Paulo can get in for 6, but he could also play around a braid.
Chad thinks it might have been a Chandra's Defeat,
Oh, nice.
which he does have 3 of in his board, and I
Okay.
think they're right. Also potentially a Hazaret in hand.
Very likely a Hazard in hand, yeah. Yeah, so I think the big question is for Paulo is, do I play around a braid or not? And how do I best play around a braid? Because crewing and attacking seems like a great play, but if you have a braid, then Christopher only takes 3 and comes back for just so much more, while also adding to his board on his turn. And with 3 cards in hand, it's very likely that Christopher has a braid. And we know he probably doesn't, but
Yeah,
but
from,
he has to play around it.
from Paulo's perspective,
Chaos Draft 22. Chaos Draft 22. Your event is ready to begin. Please come to the blue gathering point. Chaos Draft 22.
Ooh, the Earthshaker Kenra Eternalize. Nice.
okay, he's decided to use that flooding to
So-
his advantage here to bring back Earthshaker.
Yeah,
Cannon.
so this is actually 10 damage.
This is a lethal attack?
This is lethal, so Christopher needs to have something here.
Right, we know he's got at least Shock and probably Chandra's Defeat also, so...
Yeah, but Shock doesn't do anything.
Well, it does kill the... Oh, you're saying 3, 6, 10. I get you.
Yeah, yeah,
He's
Shock
gonna-
does not do anything here.
Right.
He needs a braid or what else could he have? Chandra's Defeat.
Right.
Yeah, but so Chandra's Defeat can kill the Sand Strangler,
Yep.
because the Earthshaker Kenra is technically a black creature.
Right. Well, Paulo says, sure, you take 7.
Oh, if he has Hazard in hand, Paulo's dead.
Yeah, I think he does,
Yeah,
too.
I think so.
You could see by his body language, too.
Yeah, yep.
And that's going to do it. Christopher McMahon, oh, no, Paulo's not happy about it, but he's going to hand Paulo a loss here. This is the first round that Paulo's played. And, Paulo knew that he was taking on some risk by taking that attack there.
The keep that he made was a risk. Super land heavy, even though it had one of the best cards in the matchup. Like, if he drew any land, if he drew a land in the first 4 turns, then it was probably really bad for him.
That was nice work from Chris, though. I mean, look, he comes in, he's 3-0, and he looks at the pairing board, and it's like, oh, I have to play A, a 12-time Pro Tour top 8 competitor, 2-time champion.
Hall of Famer.
B, Hall of Famer, who just won the Pro Tour with the deck that I'm playing. I now have to play the mirror match against one of the best players ever playing the deck that, I mean, who knows how long Chris has been playing it, but I guarantee Paulo's been playing it longer. So good stuff there from McMahon. Impressive.
Okay, so we have Eldrazi Vampires and Mono Black Zombies for our next match. I believe we saw Eldrazi Vampires on camera last round.
Yeah, they were on camera for our round off, but I don't see any Eldrazi or Vampires on the battlefield here for Chris Botelho, and he is getting smashed. Let's see if he comes up with something here with that play.
Well, that's a great answer.
That's Yehenny's expertise. Okay, this board looks a little better than it did a turn ago for Chris Botelho.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Wow, what a huge tempo
Holy
play.
smokes, no kidding. Wow. All right. So he just went from being pretty far behind and at 4 life to wiping the board and having a planeswalker that's active. Yehenny's expertise, everybody.
It's no Languish, but it can cast you a Liliana. I'm not too familiar with Chris's deck, but based on what I think he has in his deck, he probably has Reality Smasher, Thought Not Seer, Matter Shaper. I feel like he is advantaged. Like, if he's able to survive the early game, survive the onslaught, maybe draw a sweeper, then I think he's advantaged in this matchup.
Looks like we're in game 3 here, according to our graphic.
Yes. Another fast match.
No kidding.
Look at this. Return. Make a zombie.
Go. But Chris Botelho in a fine position with that Kalatas there. He's even got an Ifnir Deadlands if he really is worried about the zombie.
Yeah, I don't think he's worried too much about the zombie. He's back up to 7. If he has any kind of reasonable follow-up, then he doesn't care about that zombie.
Right. Oh, that's pretty
More
reasonable.
Liliana.
Also makes him care about the zombie even less as it's now just like an 0-1.
Here's Liliana's Mastery.
Okay, it's a strong play for the turn. You can get in for a couple here as well.
You can get in for 1 here because that zombie is small.
For 2, right? Oh, for 1, you're right. No, you're right.
Okay, yeah,
Melissa.
-2, -1.
Right, so that means its power's just 1.
He decided not to attack.
Yeah, he wants to, I guess, leave stuff back to block Kalatas there. All right, well, there's Grasp of Darkness to whittle away at Charles's board here.
Yeah, his block is still fine, though, because if Liliana makes 1 small, it's still 4 power against this Kalitas. But there is still also an Ifnir Deadlands, so he can take it out if he wants. Looks like... Oh, Reality Smasher.
How about that? Vampires and Eldrazi's hanging out. I can't imagine anything more terrifying than that, but here we are.
Yeah, that does sound actually really scary.
It does.
It's a good thing Magic is not real life.
Wait, what?
If there were vampires and Eldrazi together?
I thought these were like mini documentaries.
Oh.
Each set. Is that not true?
Charles is in some trouble here with this Reality Smasher. And a Liliana that's ticking up every turn. So he has to play super defensively while also worrying about this Liliana. Not really where he wants to be.
Man, when we came in on this game, Chris was at 4 life facing lethal and a much bigger board. And all of a sudden, Yeheni's expertise just completely swung it back in his direction.
If Near Deadlands took out Relentless Dead, and since there's a Cletus in play, the Relentless Dead was not able to trigger, so he couldn't return it back to play. So Chris just passed the turn without attacking with this Reality Smasher. He's playing super defensively here. Which makes sense because he will win the long game. So might as well not take a risk. Return to Dread Wanderers. Dead Wanderer? So Chris could draw another Yeheni's expertise here. If he draws nothing, he can just play it safe and keep ticking up Liliana and passing, eventually make an emblem, which will win the game.
I love that idea. That emblem's sweet.
It's pretty sweet. Zombies forever.
Looks like that might be what he's doing here, Melissa. He's going to tick up Liliana. Oh, no, he is lining up an attack.
He doesn't need to attack. I don't think his attacks are great.
Commander Pod 52. Commander Pod 52.
Yeah, Charles is at a fairly comfortable 12 life here.
Commander Pod 52.
But Chris is really forcing the issue here.
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting attack because it's not lethal. And he does risk dying on the swing back.
Well, now, Melissa, I do see a Westvale Abbey down there.
Oh.
Do you see that for Charles? It's kind of hiding in the swamps.
You're right.
And he does have 5 creatures. So perhaps Chris is in a must-attack scenario because he's at 7 and Ormondal 9.
Yeah, so what that means is he had to attack with Kalidas to gain the 3 life to not
Right.
die to Ormenthal, so he decided that the best play was just to send everything, force blocks. Oh, and he made Kalidas big for even more life.
But wait, there's more.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
Chris Botelho playing a Kalitas into his bigger Kalitas and sacrificing it just so that he'll have a blocker back, ostensibly to protect Liliana, though. If Charles wants, he can still put a big dent in Liliana's loyalty, but he's going to need a follow-up play to make that work. So he's down to 2 now.
So if Charles sacrifices this Westvale Abbey, what is his best play? Is it just attack Chris's face or attack this Liliana? He goes up to 9, which means he's not dead on the crackback.
What happens? So what happens if he just says, make a Westvale Abbey attack Liliana or something like that? Or excuse me, make an Ormondal attack Liliana.
Sure. So
He would go to 11?
yeah, so so he's not dead in the crackback, and then
That seems pretty good.
yeah, it actually does seem pretty good. And then the following turn, he can return all these Dread Wanderers to play.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Oh, one thing that we didn't consider. So, like, it turns out this play is bad. If he sacrifices those Dread Wanderers,
Yeah. What happens?
you get
Oh. There's like
opponent gets
100
zombie
zombies.
tokens.
Okay.
Yeah, roughly 100 zombies.
He'll get 1 million zombies.
A million zombies. Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can't do it.
Right. Can't bring them back. Gets a bunch of zombies. All right, so let's roll that little line of play back. So if that's the case, then is he going to have to just sit back?
Yeah, probably. I don't think you can attack into this. Oh, but Liliana is going to go ultimate probably.
Right, that's the thing.
Yeah,
Like he's kind of in a spot where, yes, he dies if he does it the other way, so he can't do that. But he's probably going to die here. Like if Chris just takes those dice and just chucks them across the play hall here and says, ultimate, then it's going to be really tough for Charles to beat this, given that, Charles is trying to beat him on the ground here at this point. Now, maybe he can work something out with Westvale Abbey. It's not impossible, but it's pretty awkward with Kalitas on the board.
Yeah, I think he needs to draw an answer to that thing quick. So he has Never Return as an answer. He doesn't even have Grasp as an answer anymore. Because once zombies happen, then he can just sacrifice zombies to make Kalitas bigger. Matter Shaper.
Yay!
Oh, he's doing it! Yeah!
I love this.
Zombies forever.
Right.
Or at least until the game ends.
Yes. Which usually is pretty quick.
Food for Kalitas. Charles is in some trouble here. So it looks like he's sacrificing his Westvale Abbey.
Yep, he did.
Yep. No, he's just making a 1/1.
He just made a
guess.
1/1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it looks
There
like
it
he
is.
just made a 1/1,
Yep,
which
there it is.
so he loses a life. 1/1 doesn't really do a whole lot here. More Dread Wanderers. Dread Wanderer number 4.
Now he's going to Westvale Abbey?
Got to sacrifice all the tokens.
Yeah, so he does end up spewing off one of these Dread Wanderers. It looks at 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, excuse me, 2 of them. And that means 2 zombies for Chris, and those are going to go bye-bye.
Gone forever.
But that, he made the 1/1 so that he would give him 1 fewer.
Right. So he's going to go back up to 11, but does he die on the crackback? I think he dies on the crackback. Can't block Reality Smasher, has trample, so his best blocks are Matter Shaper, Kalitas, and he takes
2, 4, 6, 8.
well over
12
more than enough damage.
13 damage. Is 13 more or less than 11? That's the question.
Well, we'll find out when he attacks.
That is the question we
Does
pose
he die?
here. After running careful numbers.
Chris is thinking about it, though.
What is he even thinking about? Oh, he's
he
just
just
going
wants
to
to
pick
kill
off
more
a Dread
stuff.
Wanderer? Sure.
I'll just kill more stuff.
Yeah, why not? And then
Now I'll
send
attack
the
with
squad in. Well, one of those is dead. Oh, no, it's not dead. It's just shrunk, but yeah,
right.
whatever. It's still...
Yeah, it was lethal without the Liliana.
Yeah, he actually wasn't at 2.
Oh, okay.
But because he got in a hit with Ormondal, but whatever.
Yeah. He was at 11. Yeah, but we
again the
determined it was 13
fundamental
damage
question
and,
of is 13 more or less
that
than
is the
11?
question you have to ask.
We
when
answered
playing
that
Magic the
today here in the feature match area, and in case you didn't know, it's more, and that's going to be it for that match. We've got more Magic for you coming up from round 4. We'll be back right after these messages.